You can't spell treason without T. Kinda. This was written by Rebecca Thorne. This is ultimately a cozy story following our two main characters, Kianth, who is the high mage within this world, just the strongest mage that there is, and Reyna. Reyna is a member of the Queen's Guard, one of the higher ranking members in the Queen's Guard, so one of the personal guards for the Queen of the Queendom. It's generally accepted in this world that the Queen sucks. And this becomes ever more apparent to Reyna when, during a party, there is an assassination attempt. And in this assassination attempt, Reyna is taken hostage, almost dies, and the Queen does not care at all. She really realizes and lets it sink in that the Queen sees her as just a disposable piece, a disposable pawn. I think not of you, peasant. So, we find out that Kianth and Reyna have actually been in a relationship for a long time. Long-distance relationship using magical means as well as different dignitary, highfalutin parties and balls to steal some moments with each other. And every time Kianth asks Reyna, let's just drop everything, let's just go have a nice quiet life together, and let's just throw all this away. We're both kind of miserable doing this. Let's just go live our lives and be happy together. After this assassination attempt, Reyna is like, okay. Almost dying puts some perspective on your life, I suppose. So what they do is that they get a nice little place far away, kind of close to Dragon Country. So, not a lot of people going to go there. And what they do there is they set up a tea shop / bookstore. They combine both of their passions. Reyna loves tea, Kianth loves books, mage. And so they start a tea shop that also sells books. But here's the tricky part. Reyna is not legally allowed to leave. Hence where the treason comes into play. She's going to be hunted by the rest of the Queen's Guard for essentially treasonous behavior, leaving her post. Wasn't supposed to do that. So the story follows them setting up this shop while also trying to be kind of secretive about it to make sure that Reyna is safe. They kind of refer to each other as Key and Rain throughout the book for the most part. I'm pretty sure those little nicknames are used more often than their actual names, so I'm just going to do that as well. Let's save a syllable, So overall, I do really like this. The relationship between Key and Rain is very sweet, very cute. There's a lot of flirting between the two, and it is very wholesome and very cute when it happens. It's just sweet. The side characters that we're introduced to are also very well fleshed out. They each have their own little quirks. I love characters that just have little quirks about them that just kind of stick in your head and I remember that person because they're the one that really likes to fight, but they're built like a twig. Just something like that. So we get introduced to all these characters who, as far as they're concerned, these are just strangers who moved into town. They don't know about Ray, they don't know about Key, and as far as they're concerned, these are just two women who moved into town and they're just starting a business. And they get such a warm welcome, nice treatment from all their new neighbors. And it's really nice to see happen. You get to see some of that small community working together type thing that I really like to see in a lot of media and real life. It is a generally slow-paced story. It's just about, small moments and enjoying those as they build this life together. There is a grander plot that goes on. As mentioned, they move to a place that's pretty close to Dragon Country, and we get to see some fun times involved with dragons. The queendom eventually catches up, and we have some actual conflict going on. It's not all hunky-dory, cozy fantasy type stuff. There is conflict. There are some hardships that happen, which is actually where a big issue with me comes in, because a lot of the actual core of the story, I feel, is the relationship between Key and Rain. Like, for example, Rain is saying how she is excited and kind of scared to go on this venture, obviously for, treason. But another thing that she had mentioned was that her whole life, she has essentially been training to be a guard, and this is her first time going away from that. So this is her first time discovering who she is as a person without the influence of the queendom. And then it feels like we don't get to see that play out too much. I don't feel like we get a whole lot of self-reflecting on what she's learning about herself that she didn't already know. Not that I noticed, at least. If it was, it wasn't like emphasized enough for me to pick up on. But that just might be me being dumb. So Key, on the other hand, is essentially here just because everyone sees her as the High Mage first and does not really see her as a person, and she just wants to get away from that responsibility and just have some time and just an actual life that she actually chose for herself, because essentially the way the High Mage is chosen is that there's this magic stone that essentially chooses who can wield magic or not. And she was essentially chosen by the stone to be the High Mage, so it was a responsibility thrust upon her that she did not quite ask for, and now just has to deal with it even though she wants this slower life. With the main draw of the story being this relationship between Key and Ray, my issue was that the relationship conflicts between them, I think they were supposed to be more dramatic than they actually were. They did have conflicts with each other, and I don't care much for how quickly they were resolved. It felt like if there was any kind of chink or issue within the relationship, it was like worked out by the end of the chapter. They each have a moment where they get mad at each other. First, Ray does something, and then Key gets mad at Ray, and then later in the book, Key does something, and Ray gets mad at Key. But it feels like that gets resolved really fast, and it gets resolved in such a way that feels a little easy. Like one of them will just ask the other, tell me how you're feeling, tell me what you're thinking, and then talks about that, and then they just resolve it very fast. I mean, good on them for having very healthy communication. Their conflict resolution skills within their relationship, top notch. It's just not very interesting to read. For me, it was just like, well, that resolved a bit too fast. I would have liked a bit more drama, but that's just kind of me on that end. And also the ultimate climax of the book, which I don't want to spoil, but the ultimate finale of the book, like how it ends and how we get that resolution, felt a little bit easy. I think that's my biggest problem with the book. All of the conflicts feel like they just get wrapped up and are dealt away with in like a really easy way, which is fine. It's a cozier fantasy story, so we don't need these high stakes that are mind altering and everything's going crazy all of a sudden. It's gonna be a nice easy romp through this story. It's just a little bit of drama here and there would have been nice for me, and that just comes out to personal taste. But overall, I think it was a really nice read. I got through it pretty quick because I just like sitting in the cozy vibes of a book like this, so just having a nice sit down. I got some tea out myself and drank on that while I was reading through it. It's just a good time. So yeah, if you just want a nice, cozy little story about a really cute couple just starting a business, highly recommend this. Those are just my thoughts on the book. Let me know if you've read it or plan on reading it. Also, if you've read anything else by Rebecca Thorne. I saw some of the other titles that she has that look very interesting. This one actually has a sequel that I want to pick up here soon. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.